just repeat after me when we do it, but you have to do it kind of loud. So come on up closer to the microphone. First, Almighty God, source of all authority, we humbly ask guidance in our deliberations and wisdom in our conclusions. Amen. All right. Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Darrell is running for governor. He's for the student governorship. So get over there and try to give Darrell some good advice about politics, right? If you could. Introduction round of guests. Any introduction round of guests? Alderman from the 6th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to just recognize our colleague, Alderman Larry Arnowitz, who I know is watching us this morning, and just to wish him on behalf of the entire board a speedy recovery.
Yes, I join you in that. Alderman from the 27th.
Thank you, Mr. President. As my special guest this morning, I would like to have Kendra Kapanas. She's Executive Director for Maternal Child and Family Coalition. She also brought the cup din that you just introduced. Thank you.
Alderman from 23rd.
Yes. Les Reeder from the Realtors is my special guest, and Demetrius Alford from the Firefighters also is my special guest.
Alderman from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I'd like to have for my honored guest today is Ronnie Auer. He's here somewhere.
Alderman from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I'd like to introduce as my special guest today, Mr. Gary Best of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, Ms. Shirley Stennis of Ameren UE, and the AT&T family. Thank you.
Alderman from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I would like to have as my special guest today Mr. David Holmes with the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters.
Alderman from 26th.
President and members of the board, I'd like to have as my honored guest today the former Comptroller, Burvis Jones.
All right. Alderman from the 3rd.
Mr. President, members of the board, I'd like to have as my special guest today Daryl Marks, who is Linda Primer, and you all know her. She's so close to me, I can't get anywhere without her, as my special guest today. Daryl, stand up over there.
Any further introductions? Any further introductions? Further introductions. Alderman from the 10th. I'd like to wrap us up.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Today being National Babbling Day, the day of endless conversation, the perfect day to be down here. My special guest is on assignment. He will not be with us. Mr. Fred Steffens is in recovery mode after last night's game. Thank you.
Alderman from 13, recognized on approval of the minutes.
To approve the minutes of the October 7th meeting.
Moved by Alderman from 13th, seconded by Alderman from 27th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Report of city officials.
Report of city officials can be found in sections A, B, and C of the agenda and have been placed in all aldermen's mailboxes.
Dispense with line item 7. Would anyone like to take any bills off of any of our informal calendars? Would anyone like to take any bills off any of our informal calendars? Dispense with line items 8 through 10. First reading board bills.
Board Bill 192, sponsored by Alderwoman Young, an ordinance affirming that 1613 through 15 Carroll Street was blighted by ordinance 64821 as part of the near South Side redevelopment area containing a severability clause. Board Bill 193, sponsored by Aldermen and Alderwomen Young, Rhodey, Conway, Cruzen, persons doing business in the city as scrap metal dealers, containing definitions, a penalty clause, a severability clause, and an effective date. The following board bills were reported out of the Housing Committee. Board Bill 149, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission to change the zoning of property as indicated on the district map from D multiple family dwelling district and F neighborhood commercial district to F neighborhood commercial district only in City Block 4971, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 150, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance recommended by the Planning Commission to change the zoning of property as indicated on the district map from C multiple family dwelling district to the F neighborhood commercial district in City Block 5445, containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 127, sponsored by Alderwoman Young, an ordinance approving a blighting study in a redevelopment area for 1116 Olive, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 132, sponsored by Alderwoman Young, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 500 North Broadway, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 142, sponsored by Alderwoman Davis, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 2900 through 38, 3000 through 3036 Washington, 509 Reverend T.E. Huntley, 2927 through 35 Locust, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 151, sponsored by Alderman Boyd, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 5473 through 75 Brown, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 153, sponsored by Alderwoman Triplett, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 2215 through 19 Washington, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 154, sponsored by Alderwoman Griffin, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for North 25th, Malamphy, North Jefferson, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 166, sponsored by Alderwoman Young, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the city to enter into a development agreement with Ralph Corp Holdings, authorizing the city to issue its taxable industrial development revenue bonds, Series 2001, in a principal amount not to exceed $20 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring certain equipment for the industrial development project. Board Bill 177, sponsored by Alderwoman Young and Alderman Wessels, an ordinance extending the maximum term of real property tax abatement within the enhanced enterprise zone of the city to 15 years and authorizing and directing the taking of other actions as necessary or desirable to carry out and comply with the intent hereof. Board Bill 178, sponsored by Alderwoman Young and Alderman Wessels, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment pertaining to real property located at 501 North Broadway, establishing an earnings and payroll tax reimbursement account. Board Bill 181, sponsored by Alderman Wessels, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment, authorizing the mayor to submit a 2012 annual plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development as required to apply for fundings under the Federal Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, Emergency Shelter Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Entitlement Programs, containing an emergency clause. The following board bills were reported out of the Neighborhood Development Committee. Board Bill 125, sponsored by Alderwoman Flowers, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 4500 through 78 North Broadway, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 126, sponsored by Alderwoman Triplett, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 2621 South Compton, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 128, sponsored by Alderman Ortman and Alderman Schmidt, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 3454 Iowa, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 129, sponsored by Alderman Conway, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 4126 Botanical, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 130, sponsored by Alderwoman Florida, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 3851 through 53 North Utah, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 131, sponsored by Alderman Carter, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 5716 Saloma, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 133, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for Bevo Mills Scatter Sites 3 redevelopment area, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 134, sponsored by Alderman Cone, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 3900 Ray, containing a severability clause. Board Bill 15th Street containing a severability clause. Board Bill 144, sponsored by Alderman Conway, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 3665 Shenandoah containing a severability clause. Board Bill 145, sponsored by Alderman Ortman, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 2621 through 23 McNair containing a severability clause. Board Bill 152, sponsored by Alderman Vollmer, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 5227 through 39 North Roof area containing a severability clause. Board Bill 165, sponsored by Alderman Rhodey, an ordinance approving a blighting study and a redevelopment plan for 4207 Arco containing a severability clause. That's the extent of our second readings.
We'll dispense with line item 14, perfection consent.
Board Bill 29, committee substitute, sponsored by Alderman Kennedy, an ordinance prohibiting the issuance of any packaged liquor license for any non-licensed premises within the boundaries of the 18th Ward Liquor Control District and containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 176, sponsored by Alderwoman Howard, an ordinance prohibiting the issuance of any package or drink liquor licenses for any currently non-licensed premises within the boundaries of the 14th Ward Liquor Control District containing an emergency clause. Board Bill 179, sponsored by Alderman Ortman, Schmidt, and Alderwoman Howard, an ordinance pertaining to liquor control law of the city, amending Section 4 of Ordinance 68536, setting forth an area which shall not be within the convention trade area of the city, containing an emergency clause. That's the extent of perfection consent.
Alderman from 13th, you recognize on the motion for the perfection consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move for perfection of the aforementioned bills on the consent calendar.
Moved by Alderman from 13th, seconded by Alderman from 20th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We'll dispense with line item 16, third reading consent calendar.
Board Bill 167.
Alderman from 13th, you recognize on the third reading consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move for third reading and final passage of the aforementioned bill on the consent calendar.
Moved by the Alderman from 13th, seconded by the Alderman from 27th. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Troop, Alderwoman Flowers, Alderman Bosley, Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Triplett, Alderwoman Young, Alderman Conway, Alderman Ortman, Alderman Vollmer, Alderman Villa, Alderman Arnowitz, Alderman Wessels, Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Florida, Alderwoman Behringer, Alderman Rhodey, Alderman Kennedy, Alderwoman Davis. I didn't hear you. Alderman Schmidt, Alderman French, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Vaccaro, Alderman Ogilvy. I didn't hear you. Alderman Ogilvy, Alderman Cone, Alderman Williamson, Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Cruzen, 14 Holt Avenue.
Alderwoman from the 15th, you recognize on second reading of resolution number 142.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Resolution 142 creates an enterprise zone for Civil Life Brewery, formerly a vacant building at warehouse at 3714 Holt. It's being rehabbed into one of the first microbreweries in Tower Grove South. I move for adoption of resolution 142.
Moved by the Alderman from the 15th, entertain a second on that motion. Seconded by the Alderman from the 20th. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 143, sponsored by Alderwoman Young, enterprise zone for the Clean the Uniform Company at 1316 South 7th Street.
Alderman from the 7th, you recognize on the second reading of resolution number 143.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move for final approval of resolution 143.
Moved by the Alderman from the 7th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd. Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 199, sponsored by Alderwoman Griffin, and enterprise zone for Wilshire Goodfellow LLC at 1807 Glasgow and 2830 Magazine Avenue.
Alderman from the 13th, you recognize on the second reading of resolution number 199.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, at the request of the sponsor, I move for adoption of Board Bill Resolution 199.
Moved by the Alderman from the 13th, seconded by the Alderman from the 27th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 200, sponsored by Alderwoman Triplett, enterprise zone for Beaumont Acquisitions LLC at 2720 Market.
Alderman from the 6th, you recognize on the second reading of resolution number 200.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I move for approval of resolution number 200.
Moved by the Alderman from the 6th, seconded by the Alderman from the 22nd. Any discussion?
None.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 200. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's the extent of second reading of resolutions.
Miscellaneous unfinished business.
We have none.
Announcements.
Tuesday, October the 25th, Health and Human Services Committee meeting at 9 a.m. in the Leisure Room. Friday, October the 28th, full board meeting, 10 a.m. in the chambers. That's the extent of my announcements.
Alderman from 3rd.
President, I'd like to give a little further information on young Darrell Marks. He's running for youth governor of the state of Missouri, and I think he needs to be commended for that. Yeah.
Darrell, we wish you luck. Hopefully you'll be the next youth governor of the state of Missouri. Alderman from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to remind the folks, not only in the 16th ward, but anyone who's impacted by the rock and roll marathon, that the streets will be closed. I am as well, my street, from 6:30 a.m. to about 1 p.m., and that there is a map online, and to please go check it out to make sure you know if your street you will not be able to access the main roads where you're from. And then the other thing I'd like to say was I would like to wish our colleague Scott Ogilvie a happy birthday this Sunday.
Oh, happy birthday. He's turning high. Alderman from the 10th.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I would like to wish my wife a happy 22nd anniversary. 22 years of living with me is more than any woman should have to put up with. Thank you.
You should have asked for a standing ovation for that. Alderman from the 15th, yes.
I just wanted to add to the rock and roll marathon on Sunday, October 23rd. The streets in my area in the 15th ward in Tower Grove Park are going to be closed until 3:30 in the p.m. So you really do need to look at the map, refer to the map. We've sent it out via email, and they do have a website. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Alderman from the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow at 2:30 at the Tuskegee Airmen Field, that's at Sumner High School. It's Sumner High School's homecoming against the mighty Vashon tomorrow, so I'm expecting to see Alderwoman Marlene Davis in my ward.
also have with us State Representative Chris Carter, who's been out there working hard for us. You got a minute? Go ahead, Alderman from 27.
It's going to make the announcement, public safety meeting Monday, 9 a.m. And also, I did not see my nephew down here, Representative Chris Carter, as well as I saw Demetrius Alfred with Local 73 down here as a special guest.
Any further announcements? Alderman from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I wanted to share another congratulations to my new residents that are Habitat homeowners. But beyond that, I want to say to the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood, you've come a long way, baby, because we're on the front page of the Ladue News, so we've done it well. Okay? All right.
Alderman from 20th.
Mr. President, members of the board, it's my understanding that this evening the Art Dimensions will be celebrating their 10th anniversary on Cherokee Street. It's also my understanding that you've been invited to be there tonight. Also, anybody who enjoys food and a good time, please come down to Marquette Park on Sunday the 23rd. That's this Sunday from 11 to 5 p.m. There's going to be a food day. It's an international food day. It's called a Harvest Festival. It's the first one in the city. It involves the Vanguard cabinet of the mayor's office as well as DT2, which is Dutchtown 2 in South St. Louis. So please come this Sunday, 11 to 5 p.m. Marquette Park.
All right, thank you. Alderman from 22nd.
Some members of the board would like to remind 22nd Ward residents that we will have a ward meeting on the 27th next Thursday from 6 to 7:30 at Friendly Temple Church, and our guests will be Mr. President Lewis Reed, Jennifer Joyce, Circuit Attorney, and Chief Dan Isom.
All right, thank you. Any further announcements? Alderman from 26.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. 26th Ward also will be having their monthly meeting next Thursday on the 27th, 6:30 at Union Memorial Church. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further announcements? Any further announcements? Also want to just one more time thank the Cub Scouts for joining us today, Pack 214, and Carr and Kendra for your leadership. And we really thank you, and good luck with getting those badges, and come back and visit us sometime. All right, thank you. Alderman from the 13th, you're welcome. Alderman from the 13th, you recognize for motion to excuse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, I move to excuse the aldermen from the 12th, 14th, and 28th wards due to necessary absence.
Moved by the Alderman from 13th, seconded by the Alderman from 20th. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman from 13th, you recognize on the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adjourn the meeting until Friday, 10 a.m., October 28th.
Moved by the Alderman from 13th, seconded by the Alderman from 25th. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.